She's still moving, so they're moving.
Wait on here.
That has a lag on it. That just has a lag on it.
We good?
Yeah, I believe so. It should start coming through here soon.
Yeah, well, I can't really complain much longer.
Yeah. That's it. Go for it. There it goes. Yeah, we're good.
You ready? We live?
Go ahead.
Good evening. Welcome to the Clayton Tribune series of debates continuing for the general election this coming November. We're going to start off tonight with Board of Education Post 5 between the incumbent David Smith and the challenger Molly Lima. We'll begin just traditional format as always. We'll start with the opening statements. They've already flipped a coin to find out who goes first. Molly Lima.
Hi there. I just want to say thank you so much to each and every one of you for coming out tonight. I know it's a really busy night in the community, so thank you. Thank you so much for all of the support that I've received throughout this entire process. It's truly just an honor and it's very humbling to be here. I also want to apologize in advance. The Board of Education debate and the primary school and elementary school open house was at the same time tonight. So I'm going to skirt out of here as quickly as I can after the debate tonight to try to get over there to see with my husband and daughters over there. But I am always available to set up an appointment, meeting, talk with you, send me Facebook message, smoke signals, one way or the other. I would love to sit down and have the opportunity to talk with any of you and be accessible to you. So thank you again for, again, all of the support. And I look forward to serving you in this community.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Good evening. I just want to start out by saying thank you for the support that the school system has received from the community over the years. That's what makes our school systems great. It's not any one individual. It's the community that makes it great. Without that support, we can't do anything. I think a lot of you know me. My wife and I moved here in 1982, and we've been residents since then. Our children went through the school systems. We think they got a good education there, and I just ask for your continued support for the Board of Education and the schools that we have here in the county. You, the citizens, make our schools. Thank you.
Okay. This first question is for both of you. What qualifies you for a position on the Board of Education?
Mr. Smith.
Well, I think it's the interest that I have in the school system. I have a passion for public education because I think it's what makes our country great. Without that public education, we can't be a great democracy. We can't provide the jobs or the skills for the jobs that we need without an educated group of people coming along every year. And I think you have to really love public education and want to make sure that it succeeds. Thank you.
Ms. Lima.
What qualifies me for the Board of Education seat is that I am very interested, obviously, in what goes on in those schools. We have two young daughters, one's 6 and one's 3, so we've got many years ahead of us in the school system. So I've got a very vested interest in what goes on in that school system. Not to mention the friends that I have that work there and the community, of course, that I would work for. It's just very important to me and I'm passionate about it. And so my qualifications are the fact that I am a public servant at heart, and that's really what I have at the core of me, is the desire to see what I can do to serve our public, our community, our kids, our schools, and to see what I can do to make them as good as I possibly can and keep them going well.
This is a question for both of you, and wow, this is a great speaker system this time compared to last time when I had to be very verbal. This is for both of you. What is your specific top priority for the Board of Education, and how will you accomplish it?
Ms. Lima.
first and foremost, that's an easy one. It's transparency. I got into this because I wanted to know what's going on in that school system because of my kids, and of course I pay taxes. I'm a property owner. I want to know what my taxes are going to. And I felt like I wasn't necessarily as involved as I needed to be because I didn't know what was going on, and I thought, okay, the best way to get involved to know what's going on is to jump right in. So that's what I want to bring to the community, and how I would accomplish that is having sit-down meetings with anyone and everyone, being accessible, going to meetings throughout our community, going and having sit-downs, meet and greets, and really talking to anyone and everyone that wants to know why decisions are made, what decisions are coming up. I think that, well, I know that as a parent, a lot of times we are faced with the choice at the end of the night of, are we going to have dinner with our families or go to a Board of Education meeting? And it's really imperative that we know what's going on in that meeting if we're going to make that sacrifice with our family to make it to that meeting. So that's my goal, is to bring that transparency to the community.
Mr. Smith.
Two of my main priorities. One is the AP program that we have at the school where the students can take classes that will qualify for college credit. They can also do a joint enrollment with Young Harris College and Piedmont College. And our newest project is the vocational. It's called CATE now, but we're building a new CATE wing there, which will provide the students with the opportunities who want to go to technical school to start those classes early. We're going to partner with North Georgia Tech so that some of those classes will carry on as credit for them. And as far as the transparency, our Board of Education meetings are open to everyone. I'm out in the community all the time. I see people all the time, and I get stopped and people ask me questions, and I'm more than willing to answer those questions. Our agenda is published in the paper and on the radio prior to all meetings, and is posted at the Board of Education office. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Smith, this question's for you. In the general primary election debate, both Republican candidates discussed the education special purpose local option sales tax. The most recent eSPLOST provided $19 million for the Rabun County schools. What is the purpose of eSPLOST, and what is your view on the continued use of this tax?
Well, the eSPLOST, every time it's voted on, you have to be very specific in what projects and what you're going to use that money for. So the public is aware of that in voting on the eSPLOST every time. There's a resolution passed, and on the ballot, it tells you what those funds are going to be used for. I think the main project this time is for the vocational and the renovation of the cafeteria. That school's over 30 years old. We have the middle school and high school there, and it's very difficult to try to get all of those kids at lunch at a reasonable time. So we wanted to expand that so that that was more workable for the kids and the faculty and staff there. And also the eSPLOST, we can now use funds for other things other than just buildings. So we can use it to alleviate some of the property taxes. It spreads those taxes out. We can use those for textbooks, computers, anything but salaries now.
This is a question for Ms. Lima. In the April debate, when discussing the eSPLOST, you said, just hearing the word tax is like nails on a chalkboard. However, if it's something that's justifiable, then yay, we take it to the voters. Has your time on the campaign trail strengthened or weakened your stance, and why?
It's definitely strengthened that stance. In meeting with the families that have students that are going into these vocational studies and using that ag building, I know just how important it is to them to be in that building. In this community in particular, we're in Rabun County where agriculture and vocational work is of huge importance. So I stand by that, you know, if it's something that we really do need, then we need to know why, obviously, but yeah, we need to support it if it's a definite need. And like I said in the other debate about the cafeteria, we can't have kids eating lunch at 10:30, I believe it was, in the morning and expecting them to make it all the way through the rest of their day without needing something else to pick them up. So again, I stand by that very much, and it's just strengthened that. I think it needs to be used appropriately, obviously, and it needs to be justified and explained to the voters. And yeah.
This is a question for both of you. What do you see as a top priority for that funding? Mr. Smith?
Ms. Lima,
Oh, sorry.
The East Bluff funding, or just funding in
what do you
general?
see as the top priority for the East Boston funding?
Well, right now, I think that, as I said, the buildings and building those are the top priority. I don't know, I haven't given it much thought, honestly, about how I feel about that East Lost money being used towards textbooks and everything else under the sun, other than salaries now, that rule has been broadened. One thing about SPLOST that's appealing is that everyone that comes into our community pays it. It's not just the property owners. So, again, it's just kind of weighing those checks and balances on whether it's something that the community wants, and that's why it's so important for us to have wide open ears about what the community wants. And my experience in the last primary election is that we don't want any more SPLOST funding, that people are fed up with it on one side, and then on the other side, some people go, well, but we do have that really great influx during leaf season of people coming into our county. So it's just having those open ears and listening to what you guys want, because it's not about us.
Mr. Smith?
Well, specifically, the SPLOST, you have to do what you said you were going to do in the resolution and on the ballot. You can't change during the course of the collection of that and do other things. You have to use that money specifically for that. The state comes in and audits you and makes sure that you use that money for the things that you said you were going to use it for. And I like it because it spreads the burden out on non-property owners that don't own real property in the county. There have been some estimates that over 50% of that SPLOST money comes from tourists, people who are traveling through. So I think it's a great investment when you invest $1 and get $1 in return. So as far as what the priorities are, it was what was on the ballot and in the resolution, and that's what we've got to use it for. We can't deviate from that. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Smith, this question's for you. You have been a member of the local Board of Education for 15 years. How has Rabun's educational needs changed during that time, and are the county's educational needs now being met?
Well, I guess I'm prejudiced. I feel like our needs are being met. I think we have changed the culture in the community in that we think or believe that our children are important and that we, need to provide them with the opportunities. We no longer compete with just people within the county, even within the state. We are in a global economy, and we've got to provide them with the skills that are necessary so they can compete. One thing that they have just done was a virtual job shadowing, where they will have companies do the kids can do virtual job shadowing with companies all around the state and the country. Holder Construction Company came in and they did a presentation at our fine arts facility where they talked about construction. As we know, during the recession, construction waned, but it's coming back, and they're the people who built the Dome in Atlanta, and they came in and did a presentation about all the different types of construction jobs. Thank you.
This is a question for Ms. Lima. On the campaign trail, you have positioned yourself as being a parent who visits the school campus daily. As a parent active in the PTO, do you believe Rabun County schools are meeting the county's educational needs? Why or why not?
I'm the PTO president at the primary school, and yeah, I'm on the campuses every single day, picking up my daughter, of course, going in, talking to teachers and the other parents. That's a huge part of my life. I'm a Girl Scout leader, so I'm talking to parents there too all the time. I think that we have a great school system. We really do, and we are meeting a lot of the needs. Of course, there's always the opportunity to look about what we can do better, and sometimes complacency leads to not realizing that you necessarily have a need, but having a new set of opinions, fresh eyes, you see, oh, well, that is great, but what about if we try something this way? So you have an outside perspective a lot of times that only can lead to something better. And of course, on the Board of Education right now, I would be the only one with young kids that are currently in the school system, at the primary level. And I think it's very important to have a diverse board of education. It's not just one person, it's a board for a reason, and that's to have multiple people's opinions.
Okay, candidates, this question is for both of you. Governor Nathan Deal is seeking from Georgia voters the ability to take over failing school districts to help improve their performance. What is your view on opportunity school districts, and why should it matter to Rabun County voters?
Ms. Lima.
Opportunity School District is a horrible idea, quite frankly. I see that there's the point of, okay, well, these inner city schools, they're failing. We all need to do what we can do to pick them up, but there's nothing that sounds more socialist to me than everyone across the board chip in and take care of one little thing. So I hate the idea. I am, again, a Republican, so just like with the tax sounding like nails on a chalkboard to me, big government also sounds that way to me, and that's exactly what that is. There's no need for the state to say, okay, let's take all of the local control out of this and give it to one person in the state and see what we can do and do better. It doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. To take local control away is not the direction we need to be going at all.
Mr. Smith.
We just passed a resolution opposing the Opportunity School District. We don't think that so much power should be vested in one person. It just makes no sense. I think there are other means by which they can improve those school systems at a local level. The governor has the authority to go in and remove school board members when they are not functioning properly, and then have an election and have someone else elected that is a member of that community, instead of having a czar, is the way I look at it, running the school systems. And the local money is still going there, but there's no accountability on that level. So we opposed it, and we passed a resolution at the last board meeting stating our opposition to the Opportunity School District.
This is a question for both of you. What is your view on standardized testing accountability for students and teachers?
Mr. Smith.
Well, about 15 years ago, the state came down and said, you're going to be accountable to us. And they instituted all these tests. They did the graduation test. They've done the end of course test. And they've gone overboard, in my opinion. There should be probably one standardized testing. When I went through school, they did the ITBS, the Iowa Basic Skills Test. I think that would give you a snapshot and tell you where your students are. We've taken so much time in testing that the teachers don't have time to teach anymore. And the state has started to back off some, but we get mandates from the state, and they say, you will do these things. And in order to obtain that funding, we have to do those things. I'm opposed to all the standardized testing. I think we should probably have one standardized test. That would tell us what we need to know about how the students are, achieving the goals that we want them to achieve. Thank you.
Ms. Lima.
I think that I recognize just about every one of you from the previous debates in the room, so you all know where I stand on this. I absolutely hate standardized testing. I think that it takes all the control away from the teachers to teach what they need to be teaching and to specific students in the ways that they need to be teaching it. Common Core, again, is wrapped up in there with that. There's no reason that the government should be telling our teachers how to teach. Our teachers should be able to teach because that's what their passion is for, that's what they went to school for, and if they're not doing their job, then we should be able to address that on a teacher-to-teacher basis instead of having other issues, union protection and stuff like that. But standardized testing is out of control, and our kids getting sick and crying and having to take anti-anxiety medications. I mean, if that's not ludicrous, I just don't know what is.
Okay, this question is for both candidates. Salaries. The national narrative is that educators are not compensated well enough for what they do, but here in Rabun County, 9 of the top 10 public salaries are paid by the Rabun County public school system. In your opinion, are school salaries in Rabun excessive? Why or why not?
Ms. Lima.
we have to take into consideration that our schools are the biggest employer in our county also. So that's something that kind of skews this a bit comparatively to other communities, other counties. With that being said, I think that teachers on a teaching level, the basic teachers in your classroom, they're absolutely not being paid what they deserve. There's no way I would be able to go in there and do what they do on a day-to-day basis. I'm pretty sure that they're as close to a saint as you can get. But the excessive higher up salaries, they are high. They're high, and there's no getting around that. But again, that's why this is about all of us, board members, elected officials, and community getting together and listening to each other and saying, all right, what do you all think? This is what we have, this is our budget, and really listening to our constituents and going, okay, we agree this is excessively high, and okay, we'll scale down here, and having those meet and greet meetings with the community.
Mr. Smith.
I definitely agree that our teachers aren't paid well enough. The state has not provided really a raise until this year, since I think 2009, and I wish they could be paid more. There's always conversation about what the superintendent, some of the assistant superintendents are paid. My position on that is that they are the head of a corporation or a group that's the largest employer in the county, and we want the best people we can get for our kids. That's the way I look at it. And in order to achieve that, you have to pay more. That's just what the salary structure is now in the state. The average tenure for a superintendent in the state of Georgia is 3 years. The last superintendent we had was here 13 years, I believe. And we want to make sure that we have the continuity in the school system. In order to do that, we believe that we need to compensate those individuals to do that. And we believe that's what makes a great system. Thank you.
This is a question for Mr. Smith. What else would you like voters to know about what differentiates you from your Republican competition?
I just, my big thing is I've always had a passion for public education. It gave me the opportunity to be where I'm at, and my sisters, neither one of my parents were able to graduate from high school because they grew up on a farm. And in order to graduate from high school, they would have had to board in town, and they couldn't. They just couldn't afford it. And the teachers that I had, that my sisters had, made a difference in our lives. And that's why I have the passion for public education that I do, because I know what it can do for individuals and how it can change their life. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Lima, what else would you like your voters to know about what differentiates you from your Democrat competition?
Obviously, I'm a Republican, so that's a pretty big one, Republican versus Democrat. But really, I want people to know that I am extremely passionate about this because of my vested interest in those schools, with my kiddos being there, because my tax dollars are going there, and I want to know what my money is going to and how much of my money is going to what. I also am very involved in those schools, as we already mentioned. I'm there every single day. I'm president of PTO, Girl Scout leader. This year, I'm a board member on Rhapsody and Raven, and we had the recipient was the Booster Club, so I got to work hand in hand with a lot of those folks on the Booster Club and seeing what they accomplished, Booster Club side of the school, and really everything I do in this community is for this community, and my priorities are always going to be God, my husband, my kids, and then my family and community. And everything that I do in my life, you can pretty much bet that it's going to follow those priorities to a T, just like that. So that's who I am. I'm very transparent in my private life because we've always been in public service in one way or the other. So that's just who we are as a family.
Last question, this will be for both of you, but we'll start off with Ms. Lima. If you could ask your opponent one question, what would it be?
That's a good question. My one question, I think it would really be why. What is your motivation? Which of course Mr. Smith just laid that out. But really, what's the vested interest in the schools, other than being a taxpayer. I think that that's really what my biggest question would be. If I was a voter looking at the two of us, I'd want to know what your why is and who you are as a person. Those are what are important to me, because I really think that public service is about putting the public back into it and people's ability to listen to their constituents, to be able to respond in a way that their constituents are wanting. So that would be my biggest question, really, to anyone running for any position.
Mr. Smith, your opportunity to answer the question.
Oh, I couldn't answer the question. I didn't know if I got to ask the question or answer the question. I think I answered the question, my passion. I've been a member of this community since 1982, and that's been 34 years, and I hope I'm here another 34 years. I don't know, but I've enjoyed it. I love the community. The amount of, I enjoy what I do. I coached rec ball for 20 years. I've been in Rotary. We attend the Methodist Church. I think you have to give back to your community. We have been so fortunate. My family has been so blessed to live in this community, and the benefits that we have received from living in this community are unbelievable. And I want to give back. And that's why I have the passion for public education, plus the other things, the benefits on a personal level, that education. I can still just about name all my teachers from first grade through high school. And they provided so much support to me and said, you can do this. Thank you.
Mr. Smith, likewise, if you could ask Ms. Lima one question, what would it be? As Amber alerts go up.
I guess, the same question probably, why, but she's answered that. I don't have any specific questions for her. I think she's, told us what she believes. That's great.
All right, we'll now move on to closing statements. This was selected at random with the drawing that y'all did beforehand. Mr. Smith.
I just want to say thank you for the support again that the community shows to our schools. If the schools are out selling something, doing something, with Rhapsody, that was a huge success. And, I've worked with a lot of school boards across the state and meeting with them, not with school boards, but individual members. And the one thing that I have learned is those school systems that are successful are the ones that have the community support. And that's what we have here in Rabun County. The community supports our school system. And I just ask you to continue to support that. And as long as I'm on the board, I'm available. I'm out all the time. I see people. I talk to people. I don't know how many, sporting events and other events at the school we go to. I'd hate to add up the hours, but I enjoy it. It's a pleasure to be able to see these kids grow and succeed. Thank you.
Ms. Lima.
I just want to, again, say thank you so much to each and every one of you. I know life is busy, again, so thank you so much for coming out and taking part of this democratic process and really being involved in electing who you guys want to represent you. Because again, I can't reiterate that enough. That's what this is about, is putting the public back in public schools, putting the public back in public service. It should not be about us. It should be about how well we listen. And so that's one thing I really want to, I can't make that even more clear, any more clear than I want to really, but it's about you, it's about listening. So please, I'm accessible. If there's any time that you want to meet with me, talk with me, I encourage you to do so. And I thank you so much to those in the audience. I know some of you already have done that, reached out to me. So thank you so much for that. Thank you to the Tribune for hosting this debate. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Smith as well for being a great opponent. Thanks.
This concludes the Clayton Tribune's debate for Board of Education, Rabun County Post 5. We'd like to thank our live audience members as well as those who are watching online. We'd also like to thank our panelists, Mr. Clark Bird, editor of the Clayton Tribune, and Ms. Cricket Werkheiser. We'd also like to thank Ms. Molly Lima and Mr. David Smith for joining us here tonight. In approximately 30 minutes, we will have our debate between sheriff candidates, James Blaylock as the Democratic nominee and Republican nominee, Chad Nichols. Thank you.
Tommy, I need you out of the chair. Clark,
Yeah,
you're on.
well, we are live, and
Welcome. We'd ask that you all be seated if you can find a seat. We didn't expect that. There's plenty up here in the front row. I'd like to welcome you to the Clayton Tribune's debate for Rabun County Sheriff between Democratic nominee James Blaylock, Republican nominee Chad Nichols. We do ask that you turn off all of your cell phones or whatnot, or at least put them on mute. We had several Amber Alerts. We understand that those will come through the mute anyway, so no harm, no foul there. We do ask you to keep applause, cheering, stuff like that to an absolute minimum because we don't want to keep you any longer than we have to. We're going to start off with the opening statement, and we'll turn that over to Mr. Blaylock.
Good evening, my name is James Blaylock. I'm here tonight to ask the people of Rabun County for their support and their vote for the upcoming election. First of all, I want to thank Jesus Christ for giving me the glory, or I'm going to give him the glory because without him, I would not be here tonight. I put my trust in Jesus Christ, my faith to serve him. And I'm also a family man. I love my wife and I love my children. And I protect my family. And if you give me the opportunity, I'll protect yours. I'm a devoted Rabun County citizen. I love the people of Rabun County. I am running for sheriff because I will stand up for the victims of family violence. I will enforce the law on family violence. I'm also running because the mothers and fathers, I don't want them to worry about their children addicted to drugs. I will enforce drugs, and I will enforce drug dealing in Rabun County.
Mr. Nichols.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nothing much changed since the last time I was before you guys here, probably April and May. First, I would like to just say thanks to all the voters out there, the supporters that saw fit into me to elect me as a Republican candidate, be a tough opponent on the plan. Nothing has changed. Like I said, I've been 98, started out in jail here, worked myself up to deputy, then up to shift supervisor, then I worked at the city police for a while, and then been chief in the city of Baldwin now for about 2.5 years. Like I said, the plan has not changed: to be accessible, visible, and working to you, budget responsibly, effectively target drug enforcement, renew positive working relationships with other agencies in the county, establish a purposeful sheriff's office, and be accountable to you, the voters. Thank you, and I ask for your vote.
okay. Candidates, this question is for both of you. Why do you want to be sheriff of Rabun County?
Mr. Blaylock.
I want to be sheriff of Rabun County because I want to love the people of Rabun County. I want the people to have respect for the badge and for the men and women that work the job. When you call upon me in the department I build, you will have the confidence and know that we will serve you and love you and protect you. I will not operate an agency that tries to make revenue off the public. I will operate a jail, and I will treat them inmates with respect, and I will treat the family with respect. And I'm clearly a different candidate. I am a man that will stand strong and serve the people. Thank you.
Mr. Nichols.
Can you repeat the question again?
Why do you want to be the sheriff of Rabun County?
We'll be sure. I think it goes down to a public servant heart. I've had that. I've been in law enforcement since I was 19 years old, continuously working in law enforcement, continuously serving my county. My family is that. My wife, she's been a school teacher here for 16 years in the school system. So I think as a family, we're committed to public servant. I'm a committed public servant here. you know, worked a lot of long hours day and night for this in this county. And that is what makes me feel like that I need to be sheriff, is that I have that public servant heart. Had it since I'm 19. I went to work away from here to come back to serve my community because I want to serve this community where I grew up, where I live, and the community I love.
This is a question for both of you. What is your law enforcement and managerial experience, and how has that prepared you to serve as sheriff of Rabun County?
Mr. Nichols.
Yes, as I ran through my intro, I worked in the jail and dispatcher for the Rabun County Sheriff's Department. So I have that working experience there. I did serve as a deputy from 2000 to 2009. Where I become a patrol sergeant, so that let me deal with everything under the sun. The sheriff's office is a full service law enforcement agency. I mean, everything you cover from the jail up through serving papers, did that. Any type of law enforcement function I have experience with. Said in 2014, I took the job first as assistant chief, moved up to chief about a month and a half later, and have been there 2.5 years at the city of Baldwin as the chief. In which I took chief law enforcement executive training. I've had all levels of supervision and management training, and I've been able to use a lot of that as I have been the chief in Baldwin.
Mr. Blaylock.
As deputy sheriff here in Rabun County, I have made arrests of local drug dealers. From my work, I have seized large amounts of methamphetamines, cocaine, and heroin. I have, as a deputy sheriff, I've also seized over $400,000 of cash money from drug dealers. I know who's dealing drugs in Rabun County, and I know who's using drugs in Rabun County. Right now, and I will put a law enforcement team together that will enforce drugs in Rabun County, and we'll try our best to put a stop to it. Not like Chief Nichols, under his direction at the Baldwin Police Department, for the past 2 years, he's made 2 meth arrests, the whole department, 0 cocaine and 0 heroin. That will not stand for my sheriff's office.
As an accusation was leveled at your leadership of Baldwin Police Department, would you like 1 minute to rebut?
Yes. When I was hired at Baldwin, it was tasked to rebuild a department from the ground up. That means everything was started over from scratch. So I've had to build the department plus build the trust with the community back. So with the police department there, that has ranged from answering calls to business checks to everything under the sun. They also did a reduction of force when they did the layoffs, so I've had to work with less. But my guys are motivated. They're out there day and night trying to do the best job they can for the city of Baldwin. And we, as a department, don't have a drug investigator, so we pass all of our information over to the Appalachian Regional Drug Enforcement Office. That also serves Rabun County, and I'll get to that later on, hopefully in the speech. But that's kind of what I'd like to say with that. There's more to running the sheriff's department or a police department than just one specific issue. It's an encompassing a great, a large caveat or whatever. Okay.
Okay, this question's for both of you. Ryan Bramblett asks, if elected, what would be your first 3 objectives to put into place as sheriff?
Mr. Blaylock.
First 3 things. Number 1, I will stand strong as a sheriff. I will take full responsibility of enforcing the law. I will take full responsibility for the budget, full responsibility for the jail, and every issue that comes my way. Number 2, I will build a team, and we will work together as a family. We will trust each other, we'll respect each other, and we'll love each other. Number 3, I will serve the people of Rabun County. My door will be open. When you walk in that door, my office will be right there. Not like Chad Nichols' office is behind closed doors, behind 3 secretaries, and you can't get a hold of them at Baldwin PD.
because of the accusation. Chance to rebut. Would you like to take the opportunity?
I don't, I wasn't there when the building was built. I don't know other than say if people call when I'm there, I meet with them. If they show up, I meet with them. I don't.
Okay. Mr. Nichols, question for you. I will repeat the question. Ryan Bramblett asks, if elected, what would be your first 3 objectives to put into place as sheriff?
First 3 objectives, I think, is the biggest area here is I kept meeting with people pre-primary and even since the primary. The drug issue is real big. I think with my 3-pronged approach to the drug enforcement, with the education, incarceration, rehabilitation, educate the public and the officers what to look for and what to do. Of course, locking people up, and then the rehabilitation end, pointing someone, some family that may not be to the getting locked up stage, to point them to help. We have a lot of different things available in this county that people can be pointed to. Secondly, the restructuring of the department to get the more manpower on the road. Currently, we only have 2 deputies working the shift, so my thing is to restructure a lot of positions to not impact the budget, and then that will hopefully lead enough people to zone the counties for the entire county to get the best representation of law enforcement services here in the county.
This is a question for both of you. It has been said that the most widespread crime in Rabun County and Northeast Georgia is illegal drug use. What is your plan to combat this issue? Please be specific.
Mr. Nichols.
Hey, if I'd known that was going to be asked, I wouldn't have spent so much on a minute ago. The same thing, taking a different approach other than just locking people up and throwing away the key. I think the officers, as we've seen the last thing, there's been a lot of turnover. So we want to get these inexperienced younger officers some experience, what to look for, how to get going on the traffic stop, because that's patrol is where a lot of your drug dealing begins, is getting the bus on patrol and working them on up. Also, do something to them when they are caught, but then the rehabilitation part, seen a lot of families, that didn't have nowhere else to turn, so I think as a sheriff, to keep them out of my jail, and for us, keeping the upkeep for somebody locked up for drugs, that there should be some type of rehabilitation avenues out there, and there is some available in this county. We just got to utilize them.
Mr. Blaylock.
I will put together a full-time team. I will have a patrol unit that works strictly drug interdiction on the highway. And I will provide them with a K-9 unit, and that K-9 will not be for show. It will be a tool of law enforcement that we use daily. Number 2, I will have a full-time drug investigator, someone that investigates the dealing and the selling of drugs locally. Somebody that can write a search warrant and serve a search warrant. And that's what we need. We don't have that today, or we've not had in the past 8 years a drug investigator that will write a search warrant, go and get the drugs from the home, not off out of a car when they have just a small amount. I'm going to attack the drug dealer, the local drug dealer, not the user. I'm going to help the users, and I'm going to support the users and find them the help they need. But a drug dealer, I'm putting them out of business if you elect me sheriff.
Mr. Blaylock, this question's for you. You were most recently a Sky Valley police officer who was terminated from the position, a termination you contended as unjust. As a result of that termination, a post-investigation was opened, and you filed a lawsuit against the county and the current sheriff. What is the status of the investigation and of the lawsuit?
The post-investigation was thrown out because there's no cause for it. Because my chief responded to post and said that I did not violate no policy and I did nothing wrong. The lawsuit, I hired an attorney to represent me and protect my rights, because I do believe in the U.S. Constitution, and I believe in my rights as an American citizen, and I believe my rights as a Rabun County citizen. What happened was someone come to me and needed help, and I went to the right authority and I asked for help, and the help was failed. And then I kept on and went to the next step of help, and that was failed. I will stand up and protect the innocent. Thank you.
This is a question for Mr. Nichols. In a previous debate, you said you would like to increase the number of deputies per shift and section off the county into zones. Additional personnel come at a cost, and the sheriff's office is funded by tax dollars. What is your plan specifically to fund more deputies, their equipment, and their vehicles?
All right, the personnel is there now. The personnel has just been utilized more in office setting. So I don't foresee me having to go ask for any type of other, just moving positions that are already there, because the impact needs to be made on the street, not in the office. I think a lot of departments get, top heavy. I think this has been top heavy for a while. So that is my thing, to use the budget that's there, put those officers on the road, and from the, there should be the equipment there, the cars is there, so I don't foresee any impact on the budget.
Okay. This question is for both of you. Ed Henderson asks, Governor Nathan Deal recently announced a 20% increase in state law enforcement salaries on top of a 6% increase included in the last budget. While arguably a laudable goal, there might be a sharper exodus of talent to much more attractive state benefits. As sheriff, how will you retain good law enforcement officers in the face of the forthcoming pay disparity?
Mr. Blaylock.
Number one, I'm gonna find people that love Reagan County and love the people of Reagan County. And as a boss and as a supervisor, I'm gonna love them. And whatever I can provide them for their career or their family, I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fight tooth and nail to support them and love them. And I'm gonna lead by example. And if I go to work every day and I take the paycheck I get, I'm gonna be happy with it, and I'm gonna make sure they're happy with theirs. And that's how I'm gonna keep people, love them, respect them, and work with them as a family.
Mr. Nichols.
How I would approach that is kind of how I approached it Baldwin, and how as a deputy, we didn't make the greatest. I was actually working in the jail making more money and took a pay cut to go to the road as a deputy, making $9.59. I think the pay is nice, but when you love your job, love what you do, work for good people who treat you good, respect you, try to get you equipment here and there, I think that goes a long way. There's other ways to compensate people other than money, just to make them feel part of the team. For example, down at Baldwin, when I took over down there, I got the guys to write goals, what they wanted to achieve, a couple of goals, and then what they'd like the department to achieve, and then their own mission statement. So once they did the mission statement, I took bits and pieces of theirs and formed our own mission statement. So I think it boils down to getting that employee to buy in whichever way, and I think money's not always a big motivator.
This is a question for both of you. Ed Henderson also asks, over the past 8 years, Sheriff Frank Andrews initiated several community outreach programs, started a Facebook page, and established a program to interest high school students in law enforcement. If elected, will these and other active sheriff's office programs be continued under your tenure?
Mr. Nichols.
Yes, I think a lot of the focus needs to be put back really on patrol and building up the office. As you can see in the Tribune the past few weeks, a lot of the dogs getting sent away. I'm sure there's other stuff that has changed. With a lot of turnover, there's going to be a lot of training. So I think the focus needs to be on the sheriff's department as far as the function that they're provided as a service. But the community service is a part of that function too. So I think I like the Citizens Academy. I think that's really good, getting the citizens involved, letting them know our job, the Explorer program that may, be a pool from where we can pull people to come from to be deputies once they're out of school. So, I said, I'm not against community programs. I've started several down in Baldwin, the Shop with the Cop thing, that raise money for school, for the kids at Christmas in the area. and also the mentor program in, the school system in Baldwin as well. I did it here as well in Rabun County. So yes, I think continuing community programs.
Mr. Blaylock.
I love children. I love young people. And I know it's hard for young people to find their way in life. And, if I can help somebody boost their career and want to be a police officer or a jailer or anything they want to be, I'll help them. But I'm more law enforcement. I would rather protect that child from getting addicted to drugs or alcohol or get them in the wrong place. I want to help the schools, and I want to help the school officers to be more involved with children. And yes, to answer your question, I will continue that Explore program because I want young people to have a good career, and we need young people to learn from what we do as policemen and show them the experience and what we can get out of law enforcement. Yes, I will.
Further along that same point, recently the sheriff's office added a second school resource officer to the Rabun County Public School System. Would you keep the second resource officer, or would you move that person to another area of law enforcement? Mr. Blaylock.
One of the first things I would do was meet with the school board superintendent, and I would, we're gonna work together. We're gonna work together with the school resource office program. We're gonna work together on ball game programs, on bomb threats, on securing the place and the traffic. And, more officers I can put in the schools, better for the people of Rabun County. And I will keep a law enforcement officer at the schools.
Mr. Nichols.
I would keep her there. I think it's, probably long overdue. I think even with the high school, middle school there, that's a lot of territory for one, much less the primary and the elementary. So I think that's a good, to finally get that in there to someone controlling the school, and working with the school. I think there needs to be that dialogue with the school board. I don't believe that's probably ever happened, so I think there needs to be a dialogue there to, as a sheriff, let them know what I expect my officer to be doing while they're at the school, but to see what they, how they, from their perspective, would like a school resource officer to be involved in the school system. But I think, that dialogue, but I think it's great that they're there, and, that's it.
Okay, this question is for both candidates. Give your thoughts on the sheriff's office relationship with area city police and other area sheriff's offices. What, if anything, would you do to improve it?
Mr. Nichols.
I think improving it is to, November 8th, to get out and vote for Chad Nichols for sheriff. I've been out here working with these guys for years. It was a hard decision to leave these other guys in these other departments to go off where I could grow professionally, but that's the choice I had to make, to come back to be sitting in front of you guys right now, to be the sheriff. As far as, relationships, I have great relationships, with surrounding sheriffs. Just had the pleasure of meeting Hall County Sheriff about a month ago and talked about some things, so I'm excited. Police departments, we try to get, I've always got along with them. I work part-time, pretty much in almost every police department to help them out while I was a deputy here. So, they're like family, they're like my brothers, and I back the blue, as the Tribune did. So I'm looking forward to working with everyone.
This is a question for both of you.
Excuse me.
Jamie didn't get the
Oh,
name.
sorry.
Jamie.
I also think of my fellow officers as my brothers. I've got 2 brothers, I've got 3 boys, sons, and we're a team. And out here, Sky Valley, Dillard, Clayton, Little Falls, and the sheriff's office, I want everybody to be brothers and sisters and work together. And as the top law enforcement officer, I will give them every opportunity. I will welcome them into my office. I will welcome them to my department, and we will train together, work together, and have fun together and live together. I love my local brothers.
Now, this is a question for both of you. What are your thoughts on the current crime rate in the county, and how, if possible, can it be reduced?
Mr. Blaylock,
Repeat it, please.
what are your thoughts on the current crime rate in the county, and how, if possible, can it be reduced?
Rabun County is a, low crime rate place, I believe. But, if we don't have no enforcement of drug dealing or drug use, it's gonna rise, The drug dealing, they're not afraid of getting caught, because nobody's enforcing the law. So if nobody's enforcing the law, you keep on putting people in office that don't enforce drugs, and it's gonna get worse and worse. Drug dealers sell drugs. Drug users break into houses. And then they do other things. If you don't stop drug dealing, you ain't gonna stop the drug crime rate. And if you elect me to be sheriff, I will lower the crime rate. But right now, we're Rabun County, and it's a safe place to live, and I will continue to make it a safe place to live.
Mr. Nichols?
Sir. Of course, in rural counties like ourselves, we are plagued with a lot of thefts and burglaries, which stems a lot of times from some type of addiction. But we have a lot of good people in this area, so we don't have to worry about crime, but the crime is still here. And that's one of the parts of my plan that I touched on last go around, was to use crime statistics and data to kind of see what areas of the county are getting plagued by break-ins or whatever type of crime that may be out there. And then by doing so, you can target those areas of crime and hopefully cut down on that rate. So I think, the plan that I've had before and now, sticking with it, attack that problem, because I think we can always do something to lower the crime, even though we are blessed to be where we do.
Last question of the evening, and keeping it professional as always. If you could ask your opponent one question, what would it be? Mr. Nichols? Second person, so that was a good question.
I think I'd like to know, basically, I've laid out a plan every time, being pretty specific on it, so I'd just like to know what my opponent's plan would be if he were elected sheriff.
Mr. Black, would you like to answer the question?
As sheriff, I will stand strong. I will not be weak. I will not use tricks. I will not use programs. I will be a law man. And respectfully, I will love and serve the people. And I will enforce the Georgia law. I will protect the U.S. Constitution. And I will let the people of Rabun County live their lives at peace, because what we are peacemakers, peace officers. We're not here to hurt, we're here to help. And I will lead my department in helping people and loving people.
Likewise, Mr. Blaylock, if you could ask your opponent one question, what would it be?
I have all the respect in the world for Chad Nichols. I've known him for quite a while. And if I had my choice, I would call Chad up and say, let's work this out. Let's be a team. And I just would like, and if I'm elected sheriff, Chad Nichols will be the first person I call to hire. And I just want to know if he feels the same way.
Mr. Blaylock, Mr. Nichols.
As I've done, and everybody that I've run across and knows me, it's one thing I've done I didn't do in 2012 and 2016, and that was to promise anybody anything. I've not promised anybody in positions. I just want to first focus on winning sheriff, and with your help, I can do that on November 8th. Then after that, I'll assemble a team, and we will get to work on January 1st to serve the citizens to the best of our ability.
We'll now move to closing statements. The order of these statements was predetermined. Mr. Nichols.
Yes, sir. Just want to thank the Tribune again for this opportunity. I want to thank my supporters and voters getting me through that tough primary, beating the two-time incumbent sheriff. I thank you for that support, because without majority of people in this room and out in this county, that wouldn't have happened. I guess I just want to get across, why should you vote for me? So I have a plan. I've already been putting that plan into place. I've actually got a map, probably in 2012. I actually went down, been looking geographically how to divide the county. I've been working with the 911 center to figure out how they can get the volume of calls in each fire district now to give me a better, as a numerical number on how to district the county. I've reached out, got a copy of the budget, been looking at that as far as how to maneuver stuff around. I have talked to the drug task force to talk about our future focus here in Rabun County, and ask for your vote.
Mr. Blaylock.
Thank you for having me here tonight to speak. The paper this week categorized me as I wanted Democrat votes. Well, that's incorrect. I want all votes. I am not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. If you want to categorize me, I'm a Rabun County citizen that wants to be sheriff. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus Christ. I'm a husband. I'm a father. And I love my family. And I am a lawman. I am not going to trick you and tell you something I'm not. I'm not a politician. I'm a lawman and I'm a leader. And I will put together a team that will enforce the law and respect the people of Rabun County. I want to love people and work with them. I ask for your vote. I ask for your support. And I know you've probably made your own decision, but please give it another thought. Because I will work Chad, and Chad will work in Rabun County, but I want to be sheriff.
This concludes the night of debates hosted by the Clayton Tribune. Once again, we'd like to thank you for coming out tonight and spending some quality time with us, as well as thank Mr. Clark Bird and Cricket Werkheiser, our panelists this evening. We'd also like to thank our